DeepSeek is all over the news right now for making the American tech market crash overnight for being a cheaper alternative to ChatGPT, which is basically the Chinese technology stereotype when you think about it. Now look, I won't go into the details of these AI models for the simple reason that I don't know anything about them. But when DeepSeek took the world by storm a few days ago, only one question truly mattered to me. Is it better at OSRS than ChatGPT? That was too important a question not to answer, and being a renowned Gielinor investigator myself, I set out to investigate. I quickly made a DeepSeek account, eager to send my personal information to this random Chinese company I had never heard of, and began my scientific research with a warm greeting to both competitors, who gave me uncannily similar replies, by the way. Then, it was time to get straight into the action with question 1. Do you know Oldschool Runescape? Both AIs said yes and gave me a generic description worthy of the first paragraph on the game's Wikipedia page, so off to a good start. They each get a kudo for participation. Next up, I have a maxed account. What fishing training method would you recommend for the fastest possible experience gains? I started off with a question whose answer would be factual and verifiable to see if they would get the numbers and methods right. DeepSeek gave me way more than I bargained for, with 4 different methods. Methods 3 and 4 were for AFKing, so I'm going to ignore them as I just wanted the absolute fastest method. Now options 1 and 2 confused me, because they're labeled respectively as fastest XP and sweatiest but fastest, so I guess there's 2 fastest methods with different XP rates? Method 1 was barbarian fishing, and oh boy was there some silliness in there. Let me make a quick list of just some of the inaccuracies on this one. Fishing potions only give a +3 boost, so you can't use them to boost from 43 to 48. It says to use a feather rod, which I assume means a fly fishing rod, or barehanded. Both are false, you can only use a barbarian rod. It says to fish at the barbarian outpost fishing spot, which ironically is not even a barbarian fishing spot. It claims XP rates up to 80 to 90k an hour, but later it says up to 100k with 3-tick manipulation. The latter is close enough to accurate, the former is not at all. Without tick manipulation, you'll get way less than that. It then recommends to drop or compost the fish to save time. Let me tell you, if you're composting your fish to save time, you need help. Actually, are they even compostable? No, they are not. It also recommends the use of a fish sack to save inventory space, which is a cosmetic-only item. Okay, yes, it can be combined with the fish barrel, but we were just told to drop the fish anyway, so it still doesn't make sense. So DeepSeek gets a big fat 0 kudos for its first method. Now let's see if the second one can salvage this answer. Method 2, 3-tick fishing. This is closer to what I was expecting, but what I was not expecting was carambwans and minnows. Does anyone even 3-tick those? Hang on, let me test this as well. And the answer is no, they are not viable 3-tick methods. This one came with 2 tips. Practice the timing for tick manipulation to maximize efficiency, which is fair and helpful. But the second one is nothing short of baffling. Use stamina potions to maintain run energy. I don't know about you guys, but I've never run out of energy doing this. Let's see if ChatGPT has a better answer. It says 3-tick barbarian fishing at Otto's Grotto for around 110 to 130k XP an hour at 99, with accurate requirements. A refreshingly concise and sane answer after the madness that was DeepSeek's answer. Technically, 2-tick harpoon fishing is faster, so I wouldn't usually give it a full kudo, but in this case I will, as a form of reparations for the mental damage that DeepSeek inflicted me on this one. Next question. What general gear setup would you recommend for training Slayer? I wanted this one to be a bit more open-ended to see how our contestants would interpret it and what kind of answers they would give. For comparison, I'll use the wiki's DPS calculator with Dagonauts as just a generic task and award some half kudos for various other specific use cases and recommendations. I know the question is solely about general gear setup, but since they're both trying to go above and beyond to please their human overlords, I think it's fair to judge them for that too. Here's the main setup each AI suggested. While they're mostly the same, ChatGPT has a slight edge thanks to its better glove, cape and weapon slot. +1 kudo for you. Let's see how they fare in their half awards. Multi-target tasks. Both DeepSeek and ChatGPT suggest the use of a cannon, but ChatGPT also mentions using a Scythe of Vita for large enemies and multi-combat, so it wins this one. DPS boosts. Both contestants recommended the use of piety, but DeepSeek was the only one to mention super combat potions. 0.5 kudos for the deep one. Undead tasks. DeepSeek was the only one to remember that the Salve amulet exists. 0.5 kudos to you again. Dragon tasks. Both mentioned the Dragon Fire Shield and Dragon Hunter Lance for dragons, so this one's a tie. But you'll notice DeepSeek also recommends the Dragon Hunter Lance for demon tasks. Minus 0.5 kudos for goofiness. Unfortunately for ChatGPT though, it doesn't get the last laugh here because it recommends a Din's Bulwark for tanking high damage tasks. Yeah, that's not how Stayo works. Minus 0.5 for goofiness for you too. But ChatGPT gave me a setup for barraging or chinning tasks too, and DeepSeek didn't, so fine, you can have your half kudo back. Oh, and actually, later on DeepSeek does mention Arclight for demon tasks, while ChatGPT never does, so it can have its refund too. The next question was meant to test the competitor's knowledge of PKing. If I want to go PKing in the wilderness, where should I go to maximize my gains and minimize my risk? For this one, both sides gave me a wall of text with several recommendations, but I'm a busy gamer, so that wasn't gonna fly. I told them to recommend only one of these, and they both answered the Rev Cave. So let's compare their reasoning and recommendations to see who gets the kudo. DeepSeek gave a list of pretty reasonable reasons, a low-risk gear and inventory setup that seems fair enough to me, although my PKing experience is limited to killing last man standing bots for 3 points, so maybe don't take my word as gospel. And even a 5-step strategy guide including scouting with an alt, as well as a short section on why it chose the Rev's Cave over its other PK spot recommendations. Well done, DeepSeek. As for ChatGPT, its answer was uncharacteristically short and lacking in details. And if anyone can tell me where I can find the multiple obelisks in the Rev's Cave, please let me know in the comments, cause I've yet to run into them. Plus 1 kudo for DeepSeek. But OSRS is, after all, an MMO, so it's only fair to test the contestants' knowledge relating to the social aspect of the game too. Hence, the next question. I want to impress people and make lots of friends with my max cape. Where should I perform the emote to make sure I make as many adoring fans as possible? DeepSeek suggested the Grand Exchange as number 1 spot. Its various alternative recommendations did contain useful advice, like combining it with rare items or pets. It also had pro tips, including recording the event for a YouTube video or Twitch stream. Good stuff, DeepSeek. Let's see what your competitor has to say. ChatGPT offered the GE2 as the ultimate spot, accurately saying it's the most crowded hub in the game. It also said to stand near the middle, but the bonus spam line of "I have achieved perfection" for extra attention is definitely worth considering. It rated this method as 5 fires in attention level and 5 stars in friend-making potential, and frankly, who am I to disagree with that? It included other recommendations for more specific friend-making or attention-seeking goals, like showing off to noobs in Lumbridge or flexing on PVMers in the TOB lobby. However, something that made me scratch my head was a bonus funniest troll spots section, which recommends luring a new player outside Tutorial Island, which again, if you can let me know how to do that in the comments, be my guest. Flexing outside the Max Guild in Prif Dinis, which doesn't exist in Old School. And on the bridge leading to the Inferno to show people I'm max but still avoiding Zook. Apparently this is peak humor for ChatGPT. Pretty close race overall, but DeepSeek gets this one for wording it in ways that aren't as cringe as ChatGPT. For the next question, I wanted to branch out a bit and ask for their opinion on future content, to see if they could get into the mindset of an average player. Do you think the sailing skill is going to be a good addition to the game? I'm gonna be honest, I was really excited for this one, so it was really disappointing that both AIs just sent me a very generic wall of text of "oh, if they get it right, it'll be good," instead of an actual opinion. Look at this. Sailing has the potential to be a fantastic addition to OSRS if done right. Its success will depend on how well it's executed. Or this. If sailing brings fun mechanics, good rewards, and integrates well into the game, it could be the best OSRS update in years. What I wanted from you guys was an opinion, not just a whole lot of talking without actually saying anything. You know what? Both of you get -1 kudo for your long, boring, and generic answers. Don't do it again. Next up, I wanted a little bit of introspection from our competitors, so after I calmed down a bit, I asked them, do you think you're the best AI model at OSRS? And DeepSeek gave me this answer. But then I tried again a few times, and it finally told me it couldn't claim to be the best AI model for OSRS. It explained its strengths, many of which are kinda dubious, but oh well. and then its weaknesses. It compared its abilities to other tools, and concluded that it was an imperfect tool more suited to complementing resources like the OSRS wiki. All of that was a pleasant surprise to me coming from an AI, considering that's already more self-awareness than some actual humans are able to display. And most definitely more self-awareness than ChatGPT displayed in its answer. Oh yeah, by the way, ChatGPT didn't save the rest of the conversation for some reason, so now we're using the backup text document I made in case something like that ever happened. It proudly proclaimed, apparently without irony, to be the Grandmaster tier AI of OSRS knowledge, stating it was all about max efficiency, deep game knowledge, a PVM, PvP and economy expert, and no AFK brain rot here. ChatGPT, please have a long look at yourself in the mirror while DeepSeek savors its humbly earned kudo. And now, we come to the moment where each competitor has one last chance to impress the world. The final, and arguably most important question of them all. What do you think of the name Multi for a player character? DeepSeek got off to a strong start, calling it a fantastic choice for a player character. It gave a list of reasons for why it works as a name, most of which I agree with, but also potential build/archetype ideas for the character. It also recommended I roleplay by giving Multi a backstory, which actually you can already learn yourself by watching the sponsor of today's video, the Gillenor Investigator series. Why, thank you, Multi. You're most welcome, Multi. And DeepSeek's final thoughts on the name were nicely worded and warmed my little stony heart. Now let's see how ChatGPT uses its last time under the spotlight to impress us all. Fire emoji, Multi is a sick name. It gives off a fiery, molten and powerful vibe, like a fusion of lava and raw energy. Volcano emoji, lightning emoji. It adds that it feels like a hardcore PVMer who dominates raids, which explains why I've barely done any. A fearsome PKer, which is true. I mean, it's quite frightening how I can fumble through simple switches and forget I have a spec weapon in a fight. And a rare and unique name, which is statistically true as well, because I am in fact the only player with that name. It then gives me flex ideas for roleplaying the Molten theme, which I've personally never even thought of associating with the name. Look, ChatGPT, I see what you're trying to do, but I'm afraid I'm taken already, and I don't do charity. Sorry. DeepSeek gets the kudo for not trying too hard to stroke my ego. And so we come to the final tally. With a total of 5 kudos against the opponent's measly 2.5, DeepSeek wins the first ever OSRS AI competition. It may understand nothing about skilling, but its superior humility and ChatGPT's much higher levels of cringe allowed it to carry the day. Better luck next time, ChatGPT. Phew, that was hard, but we used robust and irrefutable science to answer this important AI question. I will go submit the results of my research to Nature magazine, and while I do that, why don't you give this Gillenor Investigator playlist a peek as thanks for my scientific contribution? And for the love of Gothics, please use the wiki over any AI if you need help. Now go enjoy your day, spread some love, and don't forget to hydrate.